My name is Elise. I'm 32 years old, and I'm not even sure I recognize the woman I've become. It's strange how easily you can drift out of your own life. Quietly, like water draining from a cracked vase. No splash. No sound. Just emptiness where something used to live. I used to be soft. Laugh easy. Hungry. For everything, touch, noise, closeness. I used to curl into Jack like I was made to fit there. And for a while, I think I really was. We've been together 9 years. Married for 6. And in that time, I don't think there's been a night we didn't sleep tangled together, his chest pressed against my back, his fingers brushing my waist or thigh or slipping under the hem of whatever I wore to bed. We used to be that couple, nauseatingly in sync, always touching, always whispering, always reaching for each other like the world would end if we didn't. Now, I'm sitting here whispering to no one. Confessing to you because I don't know how to confess to him anymore. I still crave his arms at night, and sometimes, God help me, I still slip my hand between my legs and imagine it's him. But the truth is, his touch doesn't feel the same. Not lately. Jack kissed me last Thursday, right after dinner, right there in the kitchen where we've slow danced to Motown in our socks. He cupped my jaw, tilted his head like he always does, same rhythm, same warmth on his breath. But something in me didn't respond. My lips moved, but my heart didn't. I felt like I was performing the memory of a kiss, not living it. And when we climbed into bed later, he spooned me the way he always does, arms slung over my waist, breath steady behind my ear, but it felt like gravity was holding us together, not choice. The kind of hug where you can't tell if you're being held or restrained. We stopped talking in bed. That used to be our time. He'd slide a hand up my shirt, I'd giggle and pretend to be annoyed, and then we'd fall into each other like teenagers. Now? He scrolls. I read. Our phones glow between us like a quiet chasm. There's nothing bad. He isn't cruel. He doesn't yell or cheat or walk out. He still brings me coffee in the mornings and asks how I slept, still brushes my shoulder as he passes behind me in the hallway. Still mumbles love you before work. But that's the worst part. Everything looks the same. It's just hollow now. Like we're ghosts of our former selves haunting the same home. And I've started sleeping alone. Not every night, just sometimes, when the weight of pretending gets too heavy. I tell him I have work to do. I say I'm restless. That I don't want to wake him if I toss and turn. He nods, says he understands, and rolls back into sleep like it's nothing. But for me, it's everything. The first time I did it, really did it, I curled up on the living room couch with a blanket that smelled like him. I told myself I needed space. That maybe it would help me want him again. But sometime around 2 a.m., I reached for the waistband of my underwear and I imagined it was his hand. His fingers. His breath behind my ear again, before everything went quiet. And I hated myself for it. Not because I wanted him, but because I missed a version of him that no longer exists. I missed his arms in my panties, yes, but more than that, I missed the feeling that I belonged there. That I was desired, known, chosen. Not out of routine or comfort or history, but because he couldn't stand not to touch me. The moment I realized something had changed. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was just a Tuesday. I came home late, and when I stepped into our bedroom, he was already asleep, turned toward the wall, not even asking where I'd been. And instead of waking him or slipping beside him, I stood there. Watching him. Waiting to feel anything. And I didn't. That was the moment. Not when we stopped having sex. Not when the kisses started feeling off. But when I stopped rushing to fill the space between us. When I started letting the space stay empty. Jack thinks love is in the little things. A palm on my lower back when I'm at the sink. A lingering kiss on the neck when he passes by. That hand sliding up my thigh when we sit together on the couch. But he doesn't see the way I stiffen now. Doesn't want to see it. I think he believes if he touches me enough, I'll remember how it used to feel. But for me, love starts in the words. In the long, winding conversations we used to have. The quiet way he used to ask, "You okay?" and really wait for the answer. Now, his touch feels like a shortcut. A fast pass to intimacy that skips the part where I'm actually seen. Last Friday, I tried to tell him that. We were eating leftover curry on the porch, a little tradition we kept from our dating days. I used to love these nights, the hum of crickets, the way his knee bumped mine under the tiny outdoor table, the flicker of citronella candles. But the quiet wasn't comfortable anymore. I pushed my food around, searching for a way in. "Do you ever feel like we don't talk anymore?" I asked, half hoping he'd laugh and say, "What do you mean?" "We're talking now." That he'd pull me closer and say he missed me too. Instead, he looked at me like I'd just handed him a quiz he hadn't studied for. "We're talking now," he said. Just like I feared. I forced a smile. "Not like that. I mean, real talk. About how we're doing. You and me." He blinked. "What's wrong?" His body tensed, like he was bracing for impact. "That's not," I paused. "It's not about something being wrong. I miss you. Even when you're here." He put his fork down and reached for my hand. His thumb rubbed slow circles over my palm, a gesture that used to calm me. "Baby, I know work's been crazy. But I'm here now. I'm trying. Trying." That word again. He was trying, in all the ways he knew how. He came home from 12-hour shifts at the hospital, exhausted, covered in the day's sweat and hospital smells, and still, he'd wrap his arms around me like I was the cure to it all. But when I tried to talk about us, he'd kiss me instead. When I said I felt far away, he'd press me against him, like proximity could fix the distance. When I started sleeping on the couch more often, he just brought me a blanket and kissed my forehead like I was fragile glass. And maybe I am. That night, after the porch talk, he came up behind me while I was brushing my teeth and slid his hands around my waist. His lips found that spot just under my ear, and I froze. I know that move. It used to make me melt. Now it just makes me tired. "Let's go to bed," he whispered. "I'm not tired," I said, too fast. Too sharp. He pulled back like I'd slapped him. "You haven't come to bed all week." "I told you, I haven't been sleeping well." "You sleep fine on the couch." I turned off the tap. "Jack," he stood there, toothbrush in hand, jaw clenched. "You won't talk. You won't touch. What do you want from me, Elise?" His voice wasn't angry. Just defeated. Like he already knew he couldn't win. And the truth? I didn't know what I wanted. Not exactly. I wanted him to ask why. I wanted him to notice. Not just that I was pulling away, but what that said about me. About us. About how we'd stopped making each other feel wanted, not just needed. I wanted him to stop reaching for my body and start reaching for my mind again. Instead, he turned off the light, walked out, and left me in the bathroom with a mouth full of toothpaste and a heart full of ache. Love shouldn't feel like this. Like a language we'd both forgotten how to speak. Like he's offering me everything, except the one thing I'm starving for. The living room was warm with late afternoon sun. I was folding towels, the scent of fabric softener clinging to my skin. Jack was sprawled across the other end of the couch, one leg draped over the side, absent-mindedly flipping through his phone. It should have been an easy moment. Familiar. Comfortable. I didn't see him move, but suddenly he was behind me, standing close, his chest brushing my back. "Elise," he murmured, his arm slipping around my waist. "Come sit with me." His voice was soft, the kind of low invitation he used when we first started dating. I used to love the way he said my name, slow and sure, like he tasted it. Now, I felt myself freeze. I didn't want to. God, I hated that it was my first reaction. But my muscles tightened, instinctively bracing. Like affection had become a pressure point. "I'm just finishing this," I said, forcing a small smile. "Almost done." He kissed my shoulder, warm lips, slow and lingering, and then let his hand slide a little too low on my back, fingers grazing the waistband of my leggings. He thought it was playful. Intimate. It felt like a shortcut. Like he was trying to flip a switch in me, bypass all the things we weren't saying. "Leave the towels," he whispered. "They're not going anywhere." I placed one carefully on the stack and peeled his hand off my waist. "Jack, I'm not in the mood," I said, keeping my voice neutral. I didn't want to fight. "You're never in the mood lately." He said it without accusation, but it still landed like one. I turned to face him. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" he asked, arms folding. "You flinch when I touch you. You avoid eye contact. You sleep in another room half the week. What am I supposed to think?" "I don't know," I snapped, then instantly regretted the sharpness. His face changed, softened, almost hurt, but he didn't push. Just nodded and stepped back. "I'm just trying to feel close to you again," he said, quieter now. "I miss you." I looked down at the half-folded towel in my hand. It was stupid, but I couldn't stop obsessing over the way it wouldn't fold evenly. One edge kept going crooked. Like everything else. "I miss me too," I said under my breath. He didn't respond. That night, he tried again. I was in bed, our bed, for once, reading with the light low, trying to at least look like I was still part of this marriage. He came in from the shower, hair damp, smelling like cedarwood and steam. I used to crave that scent. He slipped under the covers beside me and pulled the book gently from my hands, setting it on the nightstand. "Let's just lie together," he said. "No pressure. Just us." And I wanted to. I really did. So I nodded. He kissed me, softly at first, then deeper, one hand cupping my cheek, the other drifting down my side. I kissed him back. Out of memory. Obligation. Habit. But inside, I was somewhere else entirely. I counted the seconds. I felt nothing. Not revulsion. Not affection. Just blank. Like someone had unplugged the part of me that used to light up under his hands. When his fingers slipped under the hem of my shirt, I stiffened. He stopped. "You okay?" I hesitated too long. "Yeah," I said, even though we both knew it was a lie. I pulled away gently, turning onto my side. A beat passed. "Good night," he whispered. And then silence. As I lay there staring at the wall, I heard my own voice echo in my head, cold and guilty. Why does everything have to turn into sex? He cooked. Jack always cooks when he's trying. Steak, garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with toasted almonds. A bottle of red he knows I like, candles, soft music, the whole mood. I wanted to appreciate it. I really did. He set the plates down with a little proud grin, one of those still-got-it smiles that used to make me melt. "I even remembered you like the potatoes chunky, not whipped." I smiled, but it felt thin. "Thank you." We ate mostly in silence, but it wasn't awful. Not yet. Just quiet. I asked about the hospital. He talked about a kid who came in after a bike accident. I nodded in the right places. Sipped my wine. Then he said, too casually, after dinner, maybe we can go upstairs. Take a bath. Just, be together. I froze. Not because I didn't expect it, but because it always circled back to that now. Be together. Code for fix this with skin. Code for let's pretend everything's fine if we're naked. I pushed my beans around with my fork. I don't know if I'm up for that. He blinked, leaned back in his chair. You don't even want to try? I set my fork down. Try what? His tone sharpened. Being close. Being married. That word, married, landed like a slap. I looked up, suddenly hot in the face. So because I'm not in the mood for a bath and some forced intimacy, I'm not being a wife now? His eyes darkened. That's not what I said. No, but it's what you meant. He pushed his plate away. You keep shutting me out, Elise. What am I supposed to do? Wait around until you magically decide you want me again? My throat tightened. It's not about wanting you. It's about feeling like I matter to you beyond your need for sex. I don't just want sex, yes, you do. I snapped. Louder than I meant to. He went quiet, staring at me. A pulse ticking in his jaw. I knew that silence. It meant he was reining himself in, biting down his instinct to argue. I stood up suddenly. My chair scraped loudly against the hardwood. You know what I think about when I go sleep on the couch? My voice cracked. I think about the way you used to touch me without taking something. The way your arms used to mean comfort, not obligation. I miss that. His face twisted, hurt and defensive all at once. I didn't know my arms were such a threat. They're not a threat, I said, voice trembling. They're just not safe anymore. Not like they used to be. Silence again. The music had stopped at some point, I hadn't even noticed. Just the clink of silverware cooling on ceramic. I didn't plan to cry. But once the first tear fell, they all did. I sat back down and buried my face in my hands, chest hitching with quiet, gasping sobs. I don't know what's wrong with me, I whispered. I want you. I do. He stayed frozen. Not angry. Just stunned. When I finally looked up, his face was unreadable. Not cold, not warm. Just lost. I don't know what you want from me, he said quietly. And the thing that broke me wasn't the sadness in his voice, it was the distance. Like we were standing on opposite ends of a canyon, both shouting versions of love neither of us recognized anymore. After he cleaned up dinner in silence, he disappeared upstairs. I heard the bathwater run. I stayed downstairs. Later, I curled up on the couch in the dark, clutching a throw pillow to my chest. I didn't even cry anymore. Just sat there, drained. The air still smelled like garlic and wine and something else, disappointment, maybe. I thought about how many nights I'd ended up here lately. How his arms used to slip under my shirt and feel like home. How now, even thinking about them wrapped around me made me feel pressure. Expectation. But tonight? Tonight, I missed them anyway. I missed being wanted, and safe, in the same moment. And even as I pressed my thighs together out of old habit, hoping to chase a flicker of what we used to have, the words looped through my mind like a curse, 2 weeks. That's how long it's been since the dinner explosion, since I told Jack his arms didn't feel safe anymore and he looked at me like I'd broken something inside him that couldn't be fixed. Since then, we've been moving through the house like co-tenants. Efficient. Polite. Silent. We don't fight. We just don't speak much. He still takes the trash out. I still buy his favorite cereal. We pass each other in the hallway and murmur morning like strangers. No affection. No warmth. Just air between us, thick and heavy and humming with everything we're not saying. Jack's not a cruel man. I need to say that out loud, or whatever this counts as. He's kind. Steady. Good in emergencies. He folds his laundry, takes care of his patients like their family, and always double-checks that the stove is off before we go to sleep. But he's hurt. And I see it in the little ways. He used to sit next to me on the couch, now he chooses the armchair. He used to bring me a cup of coffee in the morning, now it's just one mug on the counter. He still cooks dinner, but doesn't ask if I want to eat together. I eat alone more now. At the kitchen island, headphones in, pretending music fills the space where our conversation should be. He's grieving too. I know that. I can see it in how tired he looks lately, not from work, but from us. And still, I miss him. I miss the old rhythm. The way he used to kiss me from behind while I stirred the pasta. The way he would tilt my chin up when I was upset, just enough so I had to meet his eyes. I even miss the dumb arguments, whose turn it was to do laundry, whether the cat needed another vet visit, because at least then, we were in it together. Now? I'm not sure where he is, even when he's sitting 5 feet away. This morning, I caught him standing at the bedroom window just before he left for work. Just standing. Not checking the weather, not doing anything, just staring at the street below. He looked like he was somewhere else entirely. And something in my chest cracked open. I used to be his soft place. His landing zone after 14-hour ER shifts and near burnouts. I used to wrap my arms around him and feel the weight lift off both of us. Now I flinch at his touch and sleep in the living room. I've become the cold side of the bed. It's not like I don't love him. I do. But love hasn't felt like enough lately. Not when it's all tangled up in guilt, distance, and unspoken resentment. Still, when I watch him now, quiet, withdrawn, eating dinner alone, I ache. Not just for what we had, but for him. The real him. The man I married. The man who once kissed my knuckles in the grocery store because we were fighting and he didn't want to let go of my hand. I ache for the part of me that used to reach back. So now, I'm standing at a crossroads. I can feel the fork in my chest. Do I try again? Do I face the mess we've made and open myself back up, even though I don't know how to begin? Or do I walk away quietly, not because I stopped loving him, but because I forgot how to feel close to him without losing myself? I don't know yet. But tonight, when he gets home, I think I'm going to ask him if he wants to sit beside me on the couch. No expectations. No scripts. Just sit. Maybe we start there. Or maybe we don't start again at all. He didn't come sit on the couch that night. But he stood behind it. I heard his keys drop onto the counter, heard the rustle of his jacket, and then just silence. I didn't turn around, afraid it would scare the moment off. Like a deer in the woods. Eventually, I spoke without looking at him. Can you sit for a minute? He hesitated, then nodded. I felt the weight of it more than saw it. He walked around the couch, sat at the far end. Not touching. Not close. But here. I looked at him. Really looked. The shadows under his eyes. The new lines near his mouth. The way his hands stayed in his lap, like he didn't trust them anymore. I don't know how we got so far apart, I whispered. He stared at his hands. I do. That startled me. You do? He nodded. I kept trying to fix it the only way I knew how. And every time you pulled away, I just pushed harder. I didn't ask you what you needed. I just assumed it was me. My throat tightened. I didn't know how to say what I needed. I still don't, half the time. He gave a sad, crooked smile. I think we stopped speaking the same language a while ago. I nodded. We sat in that sentence a long time. Then I did something small, but terrifying. I reached out and placed my hand over his. Not entwined. Just there. A gesture. He didn't move away. But he didn't grip it either. I still care about you, I said. That hasn't changed. He turned his head slowly, meeting my eyes. I know. I care about you too. There was no desperation in his voice. No spark of hope or attempt to reignite anything. Just honesty. Quiet and flat. I waited for something else, an offer, a beginning, a plea. But it never came. Later that night, I went upstairs first. I lay in bed, unsure if he'd join me. He didn't. At some point, I heard the soft creak of the couch beneath his weight, the rustle of the throw blanket as he settled in. My heart clenched. The irony wasn't lost on me, how many nights I'd chosen to sleep out there, needing space. And now, here he was, giving me the same. Maybe out of kindness. Maybe out of defeat. I pulled the covers tighter around me, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like crying. Not because I wasn't sad. But because something was clearer now. We weren't angry anymore. Just tired. And maybe that's worse. There's still love here. I know that. But love, I'm learning, isn't always enough to carry two people who've stopped reaching for each other at the same time. Maybe we'll find our way back. Or maybe. This is the part where we start sleeping alone for real. You ever hold someone so tightly for so long, that when you finally let go, your arms feel hollow? That's how it feels now. Like my body is still shaped for him. My hips still curl inward on cold nights like he's supposed to be there. My fingers still reach across the sheets out of habit, like some part of me still hasn't gotten the message. But it's not just about the sheets. Or the sex. Or even his arms. It's about what those things used to mean. When I say I miss his arms and my panties, God, I hate how crass that sounds now. I don't just mean the sex. I mean the certainty that came with it. The electricity. The safety. The way I felt wanted and alive and tethered to something real. But over time, his touch became a question instead of an answer. And I didn't know how to respond anymore. It took me months, years, maybe, to realize I wasn't broken for pulling away. I wasn't cold or cruel or ungrateful. I was just aching for something we both stopped giving each other, emotional honesty. The kind you can't fake with kisses or candles or late-night caresses that skip over the silence in your heart. Here's what no one tells you about long-term love: it doesn't disappear in one fight, or one dry spell, or one quiet dinner where you barely speak. It disappears in micro-abandonments. Every time you say I'm fine when you're not. Every time you touch each other without really feeling. Every time you choose comfort over truth. I learned that the hard way. I spent months thinking distance would save us. That if I just had a little space, the desire would come rushing back. That I could rekindle what we had by missing him enough. But all the space did was show me how lonely I'd already become, even while lying beside him every night. And him? He wasn't the villain in this story. He was trying, in all the ways he knew how. With his hands, his food, his steadiness. He loved me with the tools he had. But they weren't the ones I needed anymore. And I didn't know how to ask for different ones without sounding like I didn't love him back. We made it longer than most. 9 years. That's something. But in the end, I think we both realized, you can't hold someone in your arms if neither of you knows how to hold a conversation. We didn't explode. We unraveled. Quietly. Tenderly. Like a knot that's been tugged too many times. He moved out last month. Took the cat. Left the blanket I used to sleep with on the couch, the one that smells like him. I still wrap it around me sometimes, not because I want him back, but because I want to remember that I was loved, once. Deeply. Imperfectly. Softly. I'm still learning how to love myself that way. Some nights, I still reach for someone who's not there. But now, when I do, I place my own hand on my waist, breathe deeply, and remind myself, desire without emotional safety is noise. Closeness without honesty is acting. And sex without connection is just skin. So no, I don't miss the sex. Not really. I miss the truth that used to live in his arms. Before we started using them to hold each other in place instead of pulling each other closer. And if I ever love again, if I ever let someone into my bed, into my life, that way, it won't be because I miss being touched. It'll be because I miss being seen. And this time, I won't settle for just the arms.